all the way through the organization and down, and this is where the C-suite and the other stakeholders are really involved in terms of the strategic aspect of, like I think Gagan said this morning, for us risk is all about what are the impediments to my objective, which is nothing but what are the impediments for my strategy not being implemented. So this is the part about the boardroom. So this is the expectation that is built up from the board and boards and businesses. So at the board level, what the board really wants to understand is two things. One is, how do we tie the business plans or the future planning to risk management? In other words, can there be a assessment of business plans and strategies where the risk takes a backseat? I don't think so. That's more the traditional approach. You look at the ROIs, you look at the NPVs, etc. You look at certain risk factors, and that's about it. The new world is all about pushing the risk boundary further and sort of making it more strategic and baking in methods which will help you apply probabilistic models, likely impacts, and these will be the ones which will be helpful. So the board also is really looking forward to not just the downside risk. There is what is called as the upside. What if I don't do this? What am I missing? So the board, the CFO really is in a really great position to drive these discussions to say, okay, here's the upside risk, here's the downside risk, and when you're doing evaluation of competing priorities, then you kind of get a really clear picture, and the board is can help drive a lot of these. So when the business planning currently happens, what the board gets to see is really the final numbers, the competing priorities, and this is where when you tie the two, that's when the risk, the finance head or the new chief future officer has to balance his instinct of risk, conservativeness, and everything that is traditionally known of him, and also of the risk, versus the demands and growth of the business that is required. You truly cannot tilt the scale one way or the other, which is just going to be an existential disaster for the company. And clearly, as a strategic management, when you're driving it down, you want to make sure that there are right incentives that really incentivize people to take the right risk, not necessarily take no risk. Well, that would just not do it. We have to just make sure that the balance is right and the right risks are taken. So moving forward, right, if you look at it from the top, strategic risk is really an art. You really cannot put it down into a science. I mean, is one risk better than others? You can rely on a lot of statistical tools which will help you sort of guide you, but not necessarily, it's not a quantum mechanism. However, when you look at today's artificial intelligence and the computers, the way they're going, the day might not be far off when the judgmental part will be very small. But yet, until that time comes, the CFOs will play this role very quite importantly. Second, when you look at operational risk, this is all about assets. This is all about how do you kind of make the best use of assets, are there processes in place, and this is where the CFO's role becomes important in operational risk, because which of the operational risks are critical? That's when there is a more robust discussion, and you can turn the focus lights onto areas in the operation where you want to focus, including what is the risk culture within the company. And that's the last point, right? You could have all the best of the tools. You could have the best board that really wants to embrace risk management. There is a charter, there is a risk management committee at the top which really meets frequently, as I think one of the panelists in the morning was saying, they meet twice a month. That's fantastic. However, if it does not percolate down, there is nothing that you can do. If the guy at the bottom in the front line says everything is hunky-dory, it just reminds me of that Iraq war, right? I mean, you could hear the tanks shelling, whereas this guy, Abdullah, he was saying, Iraq, I mean, what is it, Baghdad is safe, we don't have any foreign troops. Come on, that's not true, right? So clearly the culture needs to percolate and it needs to go down, and it has to be a two-way approach. So that's where the top-down and the bottom-up approach has to go together. The other aspect which is really bothering one of the key things in the digital era, in this day of digital world, where the information travels at the speed of light, even before you know it, probably somebody else knows it. You don't want to get your company's name in the front pages of the newspaper. It has a direct impact on the value of the enterprise, whether it is, and geographic boundaries don't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're in a small town or you're in a big town or a big city or a metropolis. It just doesn't matter. There is a mobile phone, there is a camera, and that's it. Small towns in US are able to broadcast news clips which basically have just shaken that nation up. Just a few weeks ago, if you followed the news carefully, it was another very tragic accident in Mumbai, but the highlight was the name of the company, not the individual. The individual was because of the name of the company. So there is a risk that is it will take a market cap off very hard and fast. I'll give you some examples. Also in the boards and the enterprise at large, you don't have to look at this as a mere exercise. I think one of the panelists again mentioned this in the morning. It is not about crisis management. It is more about getting ahead of the curve, being able to address it, being able to identify it. And this is where one of the topics that we will be talking this afternoon is about big data. If you are able to mine big data, you will be able to get ahead of the curve from a risk management standpoint. But you will also be benefited from the kind of data that you will be able to generate to say, here's a potential business opportunity. So there is a two-way benefit of big data analysis if you're able to get it right. Okay, let's move on. Reputational risk. Does this sound familiar? 5–10% knocked off straight away? This is more an act of God, the boat being blown up. Company share tanking about 30%, going up 30% simply on some false rumors. Went down, circuit breakers, and went down before it went up. Just yo-yo ride, volatility. So reputational risk is another area which is very important. Currently, boards are not very impressed. There are surveys out there which say the kind of questions that the board asks and the responses that they're getting are really not that actionable. That is not something that they can think strategically, how they can embed that into the system or how they can drive strategy. That is where the board also needs to make sure that when you're implementing an ERM system, it does not become bureaucratic, it does not become a routine rote exercise, just a compliance tick box. That is surely bound to result in greater disaster. Sorry guys. So the right mix would be to sort of combine the top-down and the bottom-up approach, get the benefits of both sides and implement an excellent ERM system. What is the benefit of a strategic risk management and the ERM system? You get to focus on the projects with the highest impacts, whether it's positive or negative. You get to manage the actions that are required to make the performance goals. You also get to see what is the likely impact. There are some great studies that kind of show that you can use some data and see if these parameters fell down or if this is my bottom worst of risk, then how much would it impact on my future cash flows and stuff like that. So there's some great stuff that you can do, which is about applying the probabilistic models. So let me run through. I've got a notice that